Hello, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This will be the first of a series of sessions on your upgrading from Primo to Primo VE. In today's session, we will discuss one of the first steps of the Go VE process, the view configuration. This session will start with an overview of all the different menus that you will find during your view setup. We will then focus on some main differences between Primo Backoffice and Alma Discovery configuration, Primo VE, in regard to configuration menus and settings that have been rearranged to be more intuitive and convenient. You are welcome to submit questions in the Q&A box, and I will try to address as many of them as possible. Finally, we will review several questions that have been pre-submitted. So let's get going. By November 1st, all single Alma institutions will see the GoVE button on the main menu ribbon in Alma. Alma institutions linked to a network zone will have access to this button in a future release during 2021. Hitting that GoVE button will offer you the list of views you currently have configured in Primo Backoffice, and you will select the view or views that you wish to be created for you in Primo VE. It's worth mentioning that there is no need to create a separate view for your services page. You can use your default view or any other view for your services page. Throughout your GoVE process, you will be able to go back and create additional views from this list, in addition to manually creating views that are not on the list. Once the automated process has created the view or views that you are going to be working on, and the GoVE button is replaced by the Discovery menu shortcut, you will be able to go to View Configuration in the Discovery Configuration menu and see the row with your newly created view. What you see here in the top right corner is the new layout for Alma Configuration menu, in case you're not familiar with it yet. You can open the view itself in a separate browsing tab by selecting Go to View. Selecting Edit will lead you to the Configuration menu tabs. Note that changes to Primo VE view settings take effect immediately and do not require deployment. There is a Save button on the General tab and the Customization Package tab. But for the other view configuration tabs, all you have to do is refresh your browsing session in order to see the effects. I recommend using Control F5. Let's take a short look at the General tab, which is a collection of miscellaneous settings and, for the most part, self-explanatory. Our GoVE documentation describes where you can see each checkbox's parallel setting in Primo Backoffice, so that you can simply replicate your current settings if you wish to do so. This is a good opportunity to mention that Primo institutions entitled to Total Care Service level often don't have access to Primo Backoffice configuration. For those of you who cannot access your Primo Backoffice settings, it's fine to configure your Primo VE view according to what you are seeing in your classic Primo frontend. The next tab is Links menu. These are the options at the top of the Primo webpage. Here you can see the configuration page in Classic Primo, located towards the end of the Views wizard in Backoffice. Unlike in Primo Backoffice, Links menu for Primo VE comes with the most common links available out of the box. Okay, this is my Alma. We'll go to the Display Configuration, Configure Views. Here's the view that I've created. You can either go to View to open it in a separate tab. Let's edit it. Go to the Links menu. And here you can enable, disable the out-of-the-box links, reorder them, edit them. Let's open one to edit. Here you have the label. If you're using more than one language, you can modify the translation. And you can remove them, and you can add additional new links. So just enable or disable links to meet your preference or your existing settings in Primo Backoffice and reorder them. Of course, you can add additional links that are not pre-configured. You can also edit existing links by selecting Edit in the Actions button on the right. You will notice that some of the available links, such as Browse Search, have additional settings which are visible upon selecting Edit. Moving on. The Search Profile Slots tab controls the slots referred to in Classic Primo as search tabs. The search profiles, which each slot consists of, referred to as scopes in Classic Primo, are configured elsewhere in the Discovery Configuration menu. All details are available in our GoVE documentation, and we will be holding a separate session on search profiles and search scopes. This is what the menu looks like. For now, you can edit each slot and enable or disable the available search profiles. You can also view the contents of each search profile using the Actions button next to each search profile. Editing a slot and scrolling down the page, you'll find the featured result settings. The next tab is Advanced Search Configuration. On this page, you control the field selectors, search indexes, and the drop-down lists of material type and language filters. You'll notice that the date filter is different than in Classic Primo. Primo V documentation describes how the cataloged information from the source records is mapped to the search section in Primo VE's normalized records. This mapping is not configurable. However, you can add your own search indexes. This will be discussed in a coming session. Here, you see the parallel configuration page in Primo Backoffice. Now let's see the menu in Alma. As I said, you have the list of indexes. You can enable, disable, reorder, edit or remove, or add new ones. Further down, you have the resource type filter and the language filter. The Brief Results tab is where you enable, disable, and reorder facets. Similar to Classic Primo, you can define per facet for which search slots it will be available. You can also define how many facet values will initially display, and the sorting method of the facet values. You can adjust the default settings to meet your preference, or simply copy the current settings from your Primo backoffice. The Brief Results page also holds a sort by setting in addition to several dedupe and Ferber settings. The next tab is Brief Record Display, which is parallel to the Brief Results page in the Primo Backoffice Views Wizard. This tab controls the settings for the record's brief details display and the Actions ribbon. You'll notice that Primo VE offers 4 rows of details, while in Primo Backoffice you have only 3. You don't have to use all 4. Like Primo Backoffice, each row can display several detail fields. Full Record Services tab is where the structure of the record's full display is controlled. I'll just point out that top section is actually the brief display, which is fixed at the top of the full display, and its content is configured back in the Brief Record Display tab. In addition to reordering the sections, some sections have an Actions button, which leads to additional settings. The main one to point out is the Detail section, which you won't want to skip. You can modify normalization of display fields and configure additional local fields. This will be discussed in a coming session. The last tab is for a customization package, which is not part of the Views wizard in Primo Backoffice, but rather under a separate menu. Your classic Primo Views packages are automatically copied over during the enablement process. However, there may be a need for some manual adjustments, mainly in cases where your files contain static Primo links or refer to your classic Primo view code. Customization package customization package management is documented in a separate chapter in GoVE documentation, which provides several examples. Now let's have a look at the Alma menu. Here you'll be able to download your current package. I don't have a package, but you will have one as your package is being copied over from Primo backoffice. Once you're done editing the files, editing the package, you'll be able to upload it here and then save. So that was an overview of the 8 view configuration tabs. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Primo VE view configuration is not identical to your familiar Primo backoffice views wizard. Settings and menus have been rearranged and relocated in order to offer a more intuitive and convenient experience. Here are some examples. Primo VE's browse search configuration options are now under Links menu, as opposed to the browse list mapping table in Primo backoffice. The customization package manager is now part of the view configuration, as opposed to the Primo utilities section under monitoring and maintenance in Primo backoffice. The record actions ribbon configuration is now under brief record display tab, as opposed to the actions list mapping table in Primo backoffice. The featured result settings are now under edit profile slot in the search profile slots tab, as opposed to the featured results mapping table in Primo backoffice. The autocomplete collection discovery checkboxes are now in the General tab, as opposed to the Primo backoffice institution wizard. Also, the related records display checkbox is now in the General tab, as opposed to the related items mapping table in Primo backoffice. This is a good opportunity to mention the survey sent out in advance that allows you to pre-submit questions, which can then be addressed during coming sessions. I've also prepared some questions that we have been asked in the past. So here are some general questions that we are frequently asked, and I believe many will find useful. Okay, so the first question is how to modify view labels. So Primo VE code tables are all accessible from the display configuration section under the discovery configuration in Alma. The simple way to identify the relevant code table and label that you're interested in modifying is to paste the existing label in the search box and search by description. Let me show you that. Here you'll choose description and you'll paste the label that you're looking for. The more accurate way is to locate the label's code using your browser's developer element inspection tool, F12 on your keyboard. How to configure pre-filters in basic search. You'll go to the Advanced Search Configuration tab. Select the Enable for Basic Search checkbox under either or both List of Indexes and List of Resource Types sections. Back to View Configuration, Edit, Advanced Search Configuration. Here is the checkbox for the List of Indexes. Here's the checkbox for List of Resource Types. When selected for List of Indexes, the search type and search field drop-down lists below the basic search box will be displayed. When selecting for List of Resource Types, the resource type drop-down list below the basic search box will be displayed. What are the differences between Classic Primo and Primo VE when it comes to journal search and database search? So, these search options have been redesigned, resulting in several significant changes. We no longer have the A to Z or A to Z ribbon. It has been replaced with an advanced autocomplete index holding your journals and databases. It will end up taking the end user less time to find the desired record. Journal search is now relevant also for physical journals. There is a new Search Within feature for searching articles that belong to a specific journal. There is a Browse by category section displaying hierarchy located at the side of the page where the facet section would have been in a regular Primo search. Is Primo Browse Search the same as Primo VE Browse Search? The answer is no. Primo VE uses the Alma Browse functionality. With Primo VE Browse Search, you'll have more browsing types to choose from. A significant change to be aware of is that Subject Browse is now based on a selected subject heading vocabulary. You can configure Subject Browse for up to 5 separate subject vocabularies. I'll show you that. Back to Links menu. Browse Search, we'll edit it. And you'll have up to 5 different subject type for browsing. You can select a vocabulary and then enable it. This is a significant change from Classic Primo. Are there differences between the Primo PNX and the Primo VE PNX? Indeed, yes. The Primo PNX is the outcome of the harvested XML processed by normalization rules. These PNX records are held in the Primo database, whereas the Primo VE PNX is rendered on the fly for front-end functionality during search time. Primo VE PNX contains display, control, add data, sort, search, and delivery sections, as opposed to the Primo PNX section, which holds 13 or 14 sections. You can use the Show PNX tool to see the PNX record, which is generated from Primo VE's out-of-the-box mapping. Currently the Show PNX tool for Primo VE does not reflect any changes associated with custom normalization rules, including local fields that use normalization rules. Those can be seen by using browser tools. Okay, Scott, did any other questions come in meanwhile?
Yeah, we got a couple of questions in. First question is, what are some of the bigger configuration implications for consortial customers with NZ environment who are considering a migration to VE?
Okay, so we'll be having a separate session for Alma institutions linked to a network zone, as there are significant differences between GoVE for single institutions and GoVE for network zone institutions.
Okay, another question is, how do we edit and modify the URL for blank ILL form?
Okay, so the blank, let me show you that. Back to links menu. The blank ILL form doesn't have a separate link. It's embedded in the Primo VE interface. So you can't actually modify the URL because there isn't one. There isn't a separate one.
Okay. Next question. Are regular expressions supported in the normalization rules?
Yes, they are. Let's take a look. We'll have a separate session on normalization rules when we discuss display fields and local fields.
Okay, and then the last question that I have currently is, can non-Alma data sources be harvested to Primo VE yet?
Yes, they can. This is also a separate session, but I will just show you loading external data sources, discovery import profiles. And here you will create an import profile to replace pipes in Primo Backoffice, which harvest data from an external source, which isn't Alma. And as I mentioned, we'll be having a separate session. Actually, we'll be having 2 separate sessions on external data import.
Does the on-the-fly VE PNX behave similar to CDI on-the-fly data creation in that the data may be present in the record that are not directly related to configuration or settings in our local Alma instance?
Okay, that's a very good question. That's something that we'd have to check. What I recommend is sending this question to the GoVE email inbox, and we'll respond, and we'll consider adding it to a future session. Okay, thank you for tuning in for this first session of GoVE Become an Expert series. I hope you all benefit from the topics we discussed today, and I hope to see you again in the next GoVE sessions.